Good morning, good morning. Bix Weir, road-to-root.com with your morning horn of Z's, your sip of chaga coffee. All right, U.S. Mint to resume West Point operations, the first good piece of news I've heard in a long time in silver. But that's the deal, but it's not really opening up for operation. It's limited, meaning only JP Morgan gets it. The United States Mint will resume limited production Tuesday morning, April 21st, at the Mint facility at West Point during the temporary suspension of operations. The West Point Mint, in consultation with local public officials, through clearing of the facility was conducted. The clearing of the facility was conducted in accordance with CDC guidelines. Blah, blah, blah. Yes, they are going to start printing, minting Silver Eagles. That's good news. That's great news. It means they're also taking orders. So the orders are piling up. But here's the thing. Silver's still at $15. Nobody's selling silver for $15. American Eagles, you can't get under 20 bucks. And the delivery times are way extended. And everybody and their mother's trying to get their hands on it. What happens when a precious commodity, a limited scarce commodity, is in undersupply? What happens when the supply runs out? The price is supposed to go through the roof, right? And vice versa. Think about oil. Why is oil down so much? It's because there's massive amounts of oil. And the storage of oil is expensive now. It's got so bad, it went less than zero. Well, there is no silver out there, so why isn't the silver price through the roof? Why has it gone down? Here's a 6-month chart. Since we went on lockdown, it went down from $19 down. It was down at $11. Two exactly opposite things happening. Massive amounts of oil, hardly any silver. The oil goes down as expected, and the silver price goes down. Welcome to the world of commodity manipulation. The CFTC, Commodities Futures Trading Corp. Oh my God. Oh my God. The stupidest regulator on the history of the planet. CFTC. Stupidest regulator on the history of the planet. Not the stupidest. Their job is to run cover. Run cover for the manipulation. Bart Chilton, one of the only fairly honest CFTC commissioners, said JP Morgan was rigging the silver price. Now, and he was asked, why didn't they do anything? It was a political decision. It was a political decision. This is a regulator. Their only job is to uphold the law and say they're going to allow one company, JP Morgan, to break the law and run cover for them and not tell anybody. And Bart Chilton came out and told people after he left. And then he is no longer with us. He died from a heart attack, supposedly. It is a big deal. The manipulation of gold and silver is a big deal. Without that, you would see gold at $50,000, $100,000, silver at $50,000, $100,000 today. If it wasn't manipulated, because they're still printing that money in the background. It is the number one thing for the CFTC, U.S. Treasury, and the Fed to do is manipulate gold and silver prices lower. And it's ridiculous. It's like the tale of two coins, a tale of two commodities, silver versus oil. No silver left, massive amounts of oil. Oil goes down as it should. No silver left, silver should be at $100 easy. But no, it's not allowed. $15 with a 25% premium now. It will be interesting going forward. And the CFTC says nothing about this shit. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Okay, let's talk about oil because oil is the key right now. Oil is the key to taking down the banksters because it is allowed to be kind of traded freely. But here's the problem. All storage facilities are completely full. That means floating storage, which is the big tankers, and the tanks on land. I'll get to that in a second. First, this oil stored at sea accelerates to jaw-dropping 250 million barrels. With demand dried up in the wake of the Saudi-Russian price war, now historic plunging prices extended through Tuesday, and little to do with prices in short-term boost, given lack of buyers in a flooded market. Kingdom has been forced to store much of its oil at sea. At least 1 in 10 supertankers around the world is serving as a floating storage facility, Saudi oil officials say. As of the start of Wednesday, broker Clarkson Plateau Securities has notified global floating storage is now accelerating at an unprecedented pace, currently amounting to almost 250 million barrels, up from common estimate of 160 million barrels. Basically, all the onshore storage, traditional storage of oil is full. So they got to store it in the ships that take it from place to place. Tankers are literally stranded without buyers. And it should be remembered, too, that last month charter rates for the giant vessels reached a high of $350,000 per day. Oh, yeah, owners of those storage vessels are loving it. Super tankers are capable of each storing up to 2 million barrels of oil. Now remember, when we talked about the other day, 2 million barrels is nothing when they're trading 2 billion barrels daily. That's scary. 100 times the underlying consumption rate. That's scary. An estimated some 250 million barrels now floating aimlessly outside shipping ports marks a record that smashes the previous high level of tankers stored in 2009. So basically, storage is full on land, and now storage is filling up very fast at sea. Why oil at negative 100 isn't a crazy bet anymore? Remember, there's derivatives tied to all this oil in the background. And those bets are leveraged 100, maybe even 1,000 to 1. It's likely only a matter of time before oil storage runs out altogether. Could drive prices globally into negative territory again, and they'll stay there. If you have a contract, if you're a financial type who's so smart about oil, and you have a contract on the COMEX, I understand that it's still a month out before you have to deliver. Good luck. Best of luck to you. Everybody is insane to be in the oil business right now. The oil derivative business. Contract on the COMEX. Orbiting, now check this out. This is cool. Sorry. Orbiting hundreds of miles above Earth, the Sentinel-1 satellites are the eyes in the sky that show why U.S. oil prices drop below zero and why much of the world is likely to follow. So these are the satellites. These satellites can ping the oil tanks and get how full they are. It's really cool. Satellite bounces radar signals off the massive metal tanks that store oil, and that data is used to calculate how much crude is inside. It's coming back with an alarming message. Oil shortage is running out. It's something that's never happened before, and the market is only beginning to guess what it'll mean. Experts say it could be a matter of weeks before there is no more room to store oil, an event called in the industry parlance tank tops. The result would be oil near prices near zero. It would be negative, obviously, in many parts of the world, and in some cases they could go negative. It will go negative on the COMEX, because the COMEX is a joke. These exchanges are a joke. They were created by financial types to rig the markets, and now because they're going to have to deliver oil at the end of the month, which is May 19th, that's the delivery date. That's when these contracts come due. Whoever's sitting there with the hot potato, it'll be a bankster, I guarantee you, and they'll have nowhere to put it. The result could be oil prices near zero, or they could go negative. On the path to global tank tops in late May or early June, says Florian Thaler of Olenex, a research firm which uses the satellite data. Can you imagine the cost? Okay, you're getting near the contract expiration date, May 19th. It's looking like all the oil storage is full. Can you imagine the cost of someone who has a little bit of storage saying, "Hey, you want to use my storage bin?" my storage tank, they're going to make mega bucks off that. And the amount of defaults. This is the end of the comics. Keep an eye on the end of the comics. It's in my timeline. Check out you Road to Ruta members, private road members, look at the timeline. Force majeure. Boom. Market shut down. Which market? Could be all markets. Definitely comics. The Crimex, as we like to call it. Really interesting stuff. Oil tankers are surrounding California with nowhere to unload. A total of 20 million barrels of oil floats off the U.S. West Coast. Tanker floats off coast as fuel demand plummets amid virus. What did Trump say? We're going to take care of the oil market. We'll fill 75 million barrels. We're going to take on to fill the strategic oil supply. Okay, you're full. And then everything else is still full. Trump is trying to talk his way around the markets. Just let it go, Donald. Let the system fall. Let the pieces fall where they may. You're going to have to do it anyway, and you know it. Let it fall. The sooner, the better. All right, let's talk about this real quick. They're going to bail out again, and they're going to need another bailout right behind this. If this passes. Everybody's like, oh, yeah, the Senate passed it, so the House will obviously pass it. I'm not so sure. House set to pass new stimulus with plans to dole out more. Senate passes more aid for small businesses and hospitals. Democrats prevail and drive for added coronavirus testing money. With the House panel to give final passage to a $484 billion package of new pandemic relief funds on Thursday, lawmakers said Trump administration are already turning their focus on the next round of stimulus for the stalled economy. That's crazy. They're doing it every 2 weeks now, just to keep this criminal system afloat, and it's not working. We're ready to go to the next bill, said House Speaker Nancy Pelosi on Wednesday morning. Both parties are looking up legislation. Following up legislation would be more comprehensive and costly. It's not costly. It's free. They create money out of thin air for free, always have. And this is just what they're telling you about. Can you imagine the untold trillions that are being used right now to bail out the banks behind the scenes? It's ugly. I'm not so sure this is going to pass. And the reason I say that is the crypto viewing guys' data shows people walking out of the Congress saying, oh my God, the world's going to fall apart. So this might not pass Thursday. It probably will, but it might not. The crypto viewing guys have been wrong. We'll find out. And I think it was this month they saw that. Go check out crypto viewing, their Patreon page, crypto viewing. Good guys. They do good work. We'll see what happens. If this doesn't pass, that is a huge crypto viewing hit. If it doesn't pass, good night. Watch the chaos hit. Because the banks need this money more than anybody else. And it's not small businesses. This is from Bloomberg, which is an interesting thing. Because Bloomberg is telling the world, hey, this small business bailouts aren't going to small businesses. JP Morgan's small business loans instead went to its biggest customer. Why? Because they owe the most to JP Morgan. These customers, these bailouts, where do they go? They go into banks. Yes, some trickles down to the little small businesses. That's how they get away with the bill, with the bailouts. But they're first, before they go anywhere else, they go right to the banks. The banks take their little IOUs from the big customers, only on the promise that they pay JP Morgan first, and then they dole it out to the little guys. It's a con. These are bank bailouts. They are not bailouts for the average Joe. Only 6% of smaller customers got paycheck protection loans. Most of Chase's larger commercial clients got small business loans. Insane. The amount of fraud that is going on right now in Washington. So I think it might not pass tomorrow. There might be more revelations that nothing is getting out to the people. It's all being soaked up by the banks and used in their gigantic gambles. I want to see JP Morgan's COMEX oil position. Were they massively short at the end of the yesterday at the end of the oil delivery period or the contract expiration? They probably were. They probably made billions yesterday. But the CFTC doesn't look at that stuff. They don't look at anything. They're just there to run cover. Embarrassing. Anyway, go to roadtoroota.com. Check out the private year zero updates, Fed bailout chart, which is ridiculous. Let's take a look at that. Look at that. What I say at the end of April, the beginning of April, the end of the first quarter, it's going to skyrocket. Boom. Wait till the end of June. If the system's still going, you can see 10 times that. Right now, it's at $3.2 trillion needed every night. Now, some of these are term POMOs and mortgage-backed securities. 2.4 billion of those. Those are permanent. And then the overnights. The overnights have gone down. Why? Because the Fed is buying everything. You don't need a repo market when the Fed pays over fair market value for your shit assets. But this is going to fall apart again, and they're going to have to do a bailout 3 times as big. I told everybody a long time ago, it's going to take 20 trillion just to kick the can down the road another 10 years. 20 trillion. They've only done 3.2. Get ready for it. It's crazy out there. This is Bix. I'll talk to you guys later.